I know for turnaround time, a lot of the focus is on the employees, and certainly you came into a very disgruntled workforce when you took over in 2015. I mean, if you were to distill the lessons, because every situation is different. Looking back, what do you think you did especially well during that period?
I talk a lot about this. I like to break down things into simple words just because people remember them more. But the first one is to listen and learn, and then only can you lead. Uh, Especially in a turnaround situation, there's just so many things that are broken, right? That's why it's being dubbed a turnaround situation. The trick I've learned in having done this before at various scales is the thing you pick first is a really important indicator of your potential success. And to get to the core of what could be the first thing you do is you have to get really good information. And good information, it means not what people bring you, but it means what you glean for yourself and your instinct and your awareness. And so for me, I relied on things from my heritage and my upbringing to just my general business instinct to connect with people that actually do the work and get their viewpoint, and then match that up against what all the really smart consultants and outside people and internal people talk about. And
So, what
so
did you do
I think
first?
the concept of listen and learn and then only lead.
Yep.
And then the second one I would add quickly is this concept of proof, not promise. People are so used to the world promising them things and never delivering on them, and that creates a level of distrust, which would be the thing. Trust is everything, as we all know, in everything that we do. So listening and learning, providing proof that not just promise what you're going to change, builds a level of trust, which builds a level of discretionary effort in a workplace that actually wants and makes people that give you service to actually want to do that service in a friendly way, not being told to do that.
So, what was the first thing? What was the big thing that you picked and focused on? Was it the union contracts, the pilots? What would you say? You said pick one thing. What was your one
Yeah.
thing?
So there was, as I said earlier, many options. Everything
Yep.
was broken. I think in the course of my conversations, I went on a listening tour, and I went to every nook and cranny of every airport, and that includes the hangars where we maintained the things overnight. So all hours of the day, it was a kind of a 24/7 sort of full blown. Went to every one of the major hubs and a lot of stations along the way, and to ask the very simple question, like, tell me what's wrong, you know. And it I, so We chronicle a few of those things in the book. Very angry, almost mob-like mentality in some places, to quiet uh, bouts of despair and depression in certain people. I talk about people hugging and kissing and saying hello, but holding on to your coat just a little longer, or that look that lingers that just says, we need help. And so part of this concept of listening is not just what you hear and truly, but understand the mechanics and the body language that surrounds you. And so, it was an important part for me to go listen to those things, but careful what you ask for. So I'm going through this tour and getting all of this incredible information, all of this emotion. I see many things. There wasn't anything jumping to the forefront that was the thing. And I began to get a little nervous because everyone's expecting for you to go out into
Right.
this mission, and most people are expecting you to fail. It's like, what the hell is he going to find out? He's going to find out the same thing we all know. On a fateful flight from Denver back to Chicago, I went up to the galley and to reach out to the flight attendant that was there. Her name is Amy Sue. Uh, again, the concept of listening. She did not want to, like, yes, can I help you? Was the very formal reply. It's like, hi, I'm Oscar. I know who you are. It was just kind of that chilly frostiness, and but I could tell, like everyone else that I was listening to, she had a lot to say. So I just gently reached out and touched her on her forearm, and just a little gentle squeeze that said, "Listen, I'm here and I'm willing to listen, but I don't need to force you to do that." She turned, looked at me, burst out in tears, broke down, and just said, Oscar, I'm just tired of always having to say, I'm sorry. And I don't know why that struck me so hard, but I had spent countless hours and days listening to people and all their various things. but it just boiled to the thing. It's like, God, that's what it is. We put our people in an impossible situation to do this wonderful, friendly, be the friendly skies, be the brand, all these sorts of things. But we're making their life miserable because when she says sorry, it's sorry the plane is late, not her job. Sorry the coffee sucks, not her decision. Sorry you can't do this. Sorry you can't do that, right? It's constantly thing, and you have no control over it. And over time, could you see yourself just like, you know what? I'm living at the whim of others and taking all the brunt while they go around and say whatever they say, they being senior folks. And I represented the very basis of that. And it was a seminal and watershed moment for the company because right then and there, I knew what the first thing was going to be, which was to regain the trust of our employees so they could indeed understand and listen where we wanted to go and be supportive of it because it's such a decentralized workforce, right? That flight attendant dealing with you specifically on one flight of the day, there is no oversight. There's no camera or audio version of how she treats you or doesn't treat you or how you feel like you're being treated. That only comes from a genuine desire to do that. How to capture that was the first big thing we decided. Now, I came to that conclusion. I had to convince a lot of other people, obviously, to do that.
But if they're apologizing for the quality of the airline, so you had to focus really on improving the core quality so people weren't ashamed of where they worked. Is that how you would, or is that too simplistic?
No. I think it is one of many symptoms. I write about the fact that I spoke to one person who was so angry. He says, when somebody asks me what I do, I prefer to tell them I'm unemployed rather than to say I work at United. So this is the concept of this listening and learning thing that it's so much. It's like this wasn't just going to be fixed by a couple of nice notes or even solving a union contract, which had to be done, of course. But before all of that, I felt I had to connect with them in a way that was very different. We had several CEOs over the course of the last decade at United. So, they also get tired of that. Somebody new shows up. Yeah, he or she's going to do this or that. And then it's just the same old, same old. And I had to make sure that was different. So that was the approach. And the first big thrust was to regaining their trust.